This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs. Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have my first BT11 Digimon breakdown. It is for Primitive's Primvitational that he had this past weekend. It was a webcam tournament that did allow some BT11 proxies. It was 34 players with 4 rounds of Swiss up to a top 8 cut, which they did play out for this top 8 that we see here today. So first, big shout outs to Primitive for not only running the event, but also for having the deck list so I can make this video for you guys. He also has the VOD on Twitch. He says he'll probably be uploading it to their YouTube, which you should be following anyways, and I am excited for this. And obviously not a super large event, obviously a very big precursor to what BT11 might look like for us on a large scale, notably Nationals next month, but I thought it was a really cool list, or at least there are a lot of cool lists for this top 8, and I just kind of wanted to go over it, and I think it should be a good time. So going on over it, we do have 2 Grandis, 2 Jesmon, a security control, which did end up taking the event, a Black War Greymon X, a Mastemon, and a Machinedramon of all things too. So a wide variety of a lot of things, pretty much what I'd be planning to see. I'd say like half these, right? I think like Black War Greymon X, security control, Grandis, those are probably like 3 that I would pretty much assume would be high BT11 decks, but everything else is kind of weird. Like Mastemon is a little particular and sometimes can be hard. Jesmon, which hasn't been really good, at least really meta ever essentially in this game. Machinedramon definitely not, and yeah, a real good variety with also like no Metal Garurumon X in this top, and just a lot of other things too. So I don't know, we're just going to talk about the decks. I'm really looking forward to showing to you guys. So we're going to start off with Isaac's first place security control. Starting off, we have Isaac's first place security control list, and obviously this has been an unofficial archetype that's been around for so long in this game. For better or for worse, for some people, I know a lot of people don't like this deck, playing against it, playing as it, but it's just very good at what it does. It's very obnoxious. It is kind of tricky to pilot, especially since you do have to play quick enough to be able to get through the game, and sometimes that can be an issue for a deck like this. And sometimes like you not losing doesn't necessarily mean that you win, right? But it's just been a strong deck right now. And also there's no BT11 cards in this entire deck either. This is completely an EX3 list. Are there any EX3 cards? I think this is even like a BT10 list, but that just shows like how good a lot of these effects go, and how good like just great option cards with great security effects are just going to be good in decks like this, and how strong like this yellow-purple mismatch of just very obnoxious control cards, including like the Flame Hell Scythe and Chaos Segregation, very strong there. We don't have a lot of these rookies, but Salmon being able to get like a free recover is great there. The Rapidmon edition I think is pretty interesting, being able to get some potential removal, including with the Cody, and I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, that Primitive ran some of these techs as well for their 9th place run on the previous weekend's TCG Con event too. So obviously, it would be fitting if you got some inspiration from Primitive for his event, which I think is neat. But man, just a lot of like, you just feel so dirty playing this deck sometimes. Sometimes you just sit down and like you win on the spot. It takes like 30 minutes for you to win, but you do just win on the spot. Just a lot of great security bombs, as we were saying. Machinedramon just for some trashing top 5 of both players' decks for a potential way to win. You'd have to do it specifically on top of a purple Digimon or a red one, which means it has to be specifically off the Maycrack Vicious mode, which you can play off the Flame Hell Scythe, or you could also, I guess, Digivolve off Kaiser Leomon if you need to, which this could be like another swing if needed. Death Xmon's great. I don't know. This deck's good. I think that yellow purple is going to be very, like, security control yellow purple is going to be very viable in the Nationals meta next month, and you have to be worried about this sometimes. They can just sneak up and just kill you very slowly over like 30 minutes. So congrats again to Isaac for their finish. And next up we have second place. This is Daynes Black War Greymon X. This is my thoughts of probably one of the strongest decks in the format. I think it's the strongest deck from BT11 specifically. There's a lot of great tools. Just the fact that you have like this Greymon X antibody is just absurd for what it does. Being able to just be like a free way to like reduce your chains, with the example of if you have like a Greymon in Raising, and then you pass your turn, it comes back to you. You can Greymon X antibody for free, get a card draw, and then you can Digivolve into one of your Metal Greymons or Metal Greymon's X antibodies for only 2 memory. So it's for free. You got to get that boost on there. And if you have the additional boost of like Cool Boy, that means that for one memory, you're able to go up into your level 5, which just means like you can go from a level 4 to a level 6 on your turn, which is great, especially with all the good effects that this deck has. So very, very strong in what it does. I do like Yuya. I didn't like this card at first, but over time, I think this was a great choice. I do like the protection that it offers me, and then also just Analog Boy is going to be good, and just everything else. I do like the Omni X Anti. I don't know. This could be either this one specifically or the other X Antibody one. This one might be a mistake. If it is, let me know, and I can fix it. If anyone truly knows, if you are watching and it's the other X Antibody, which I would think it is, but this is the one I got from the list. But anyways, congrats on your finish there. I think this deck is going to be great going forward into BT11. That should be no surprise. You should know how you can beat this deck if you want to have any viability, I think, in BT11. All right, next up we have Bryce with their 3rd place Mastemon. And Mastemon is such a tricky deck. It's always been very, very dependent on your ratios. It's very tricky to get them in a spot that you like. And this is, I'd say, a very almost wild variant of this deck with the additions of only 6 rookies. We do have, and being purple on the rookie side, we have 2 Devimons, 2 of the Maikumon. Like the fact that this gains Rush can be impactful too. If you're able to go like into Mastemon for your win condition, if you're able to DNA into it and keep it your turn, you can play a Devimon from your security, and then play it. It gets Rush, which is great, which could just end up winning you the game on the spot. This also being a place from security good, Godamon, and then whatever ratio of Aandroids and Magnangemons and Chaos modes that you want. There's just so many tricky ways to get all of this. But Vicious mode is great. The fact that it's a 6k as well can be helpful. Trash is 1 card from your hand. If you trash purple card, delete one of your opponent's level 3, or trash yellow, gives something minus 3k DP. So great here. And then also the Inheritable is strong for you there. And then I'm happy to see, like, I'm not the only one to think that 4 Mirai is like too much. You really want to run this at 4, and it can be really impactful, but it can just be super dead in your hand too. So I like the addition of just having 3 of these instead of 4. I think 3 gets you where you need to go, but just very tough to do. I mean, as the sense of like this is sometimes just another version of Godamon, I think is great, but also with the amount of Tamer Destruction that's going around, paying 5 for this and then getting rid of is really rough too. So. Anyway, and you just always want this as your security. Like if you hit this off security, you are in a really good spot, but that's rarely going to happen as consistently as you kind of want to. And then Ordini, which I think Ordini is still a little bit overkill for what we're at right now. It's a little bit too rough to get there. And also only 3 Mastemon is bold, but I don't think it's too bold for what we're seeing. You see a lot more cycle than you normally would, and I think that's helpful for this as well. So. Very tricky deck, very particular to pilots. I think that you'll never see 2 Mastemon players have the exact same list. You're always going to have your one-ofs or your ratios that you like more, and I think that's something that just shows like a really cool archetype for deck building. So again, congrats to Bryce on their finish there. And then next up we have AJ's 4th place Grandis, and I don't have a lot to say about Grandis. It's been pretty popular in the last couple of months. Pretty much since release, I think it's been a viable archetype. It is very, very glass cannon-y, but man, when it works, you just like win in like 2 minutes and your opponent doesn't know what to do. So not my particular deck, but I know a lot of people who are probably planning on bringing Grandis to the Nationals. And if you're running, like if there's 100 people in that room playing Grandis, you're going to bet at least one's going to get to top, day 2 in my mind. I think one of these players are just always going to see what they're going to need. And it's just statistically, it's going to top in my mind. I think like it and Blackwood Greymon, I think as far as I'm getting the pulse that I'm thinking of what we're seeing, like there's just going to be a sure too many people playing the deck for it to not top, which is probably, I don't know what to think about that. But anyways, just congrats to AJ for the finish. It's a strong deck, and I think a lot of decks are pretty much just going to have to run like kind of bricky cards just for the fact that it could be in your security in case you go up against Grandis to get rid of Grandis. So I also don't think like people are running the red package for this anymore. I think they're just deciding, you know what, let's just if we hit security, we hit security. That's what happens. But otherwise, it's too, you know, we're too particular in finding our cards and getting our pieces that we just kind of got to go for it. So anyways, congrats to AJ for their finish. And next up we have Brian's 5th place Machinedramon, which is a very, very particular deck. I'm going to have probably a lot of surface level analysis for this deck, but not as much insight, because this is 100% a very, very personalized list, which I think is very cool. First, it's running a red Digi Egg package, so you're running Gilmon for the double draw effect, which is pretty impactful for this deck. You really need to get a lot of card draw to get like a lot of the good effects for it. And then the Zackery, which essentially is another draw 2 by trashing 1. So everything else, you see just so many different 1 of 5 drops, which is really kind of crazy to see. And Machinedramon does get some new support in BT11 with the release of the Machinedramon of 1 Digivolving are on play. View the top 5 cards of your deck, add 1 analog among them, and add 1 cyborg and machine. Place it underneath this Digimon as bottom deletion course, and then trash the rest, and then on deletion by placing 1 of your in-play analog mans at the bottom of your owner's deck. You may play a Machinedramon from your hand without paying its memory cost, which is great because then you get to activate the on-play effect, which can mean like the on-play of the Machinedramon here by putting up to level 5. And you get the memory for each one placed, which means that you don't get like the reduction. You get the memory back, which means that if your opponent gets rid of this on their turn, you can play this, have enough level 5s underneath it to switch it back to your turn, effectively ending their turn, and then having like this very strong Machinedramon on the other side, which I think is really great. Very, very great for the deck. And then there's Kaustinen, which can help you a lot of ways just to go on top of either Machinedramon. A lot of inheritables on these guys, just a mix of like being able to attack your opponent's Digimon, being able to get some Tamer Destruction, being able to get like Piercing. If this one's Piercing, Security Attack +1, Blocker. This one gets Reboot. Like, what's this one? Security Attack +1, Blocker. Like, there's so much you can add for this deck. This one also is jamming if you need it. And when this Digimon deletes opponent's Digimon battle, trash top card of your opponent. So like, Piercing plus in a lot of ways. So really interesting build. I'm happy to see something I'd say creative like this is doing well enough to top an event, and I think that's cool. So I've been seeing a lot more people on the Machinedramon train lately, and we're going to see if it gets any more steam getting into that nationals. So anyways, ending the video, we do have Danny's 6th place Jesmon, and we had 2 Jesmons get into this top placing for this event, and it's really interesting to see it doing anything, because I don't think did we get anything from BT11 for this deck? I don't think so, right? Like this is mostly just a BT10 list, right? I think this is strictly a BT10 list, right? There's nothing new that we get with this one, which is interesting, at least for this build for it. There is the Genkuomon, which isn't always added for the build, but being able to have the blocker and all the inheritables, especially with the Jesmon GX, can be helpful for this deck. But I think it's just like the idea, this deck not only goes really tall, but it can go really wide. It's a little bit brickier, and you do need a little bit more time to set up than I'd say like a Grandis deck, or sometimes like a blue like Melga deck. But the fact that this can do a lot of damage out front and then get a wide board of like Sistermons and everything else means that it's going to be hard for your opponent to kind of have a crackback against this deck unless they like strictly win on the spot, right? So I think it's an interesting choice. I don't think this is on my radar for doing well in BT11, strictly because it didn't get any new support as far as I know. But I think it's an interesting deck, and I'd be really surprised if we got a top 32 at nationals. But we'll see. I'm here to be proven wrong on that. So anyways, that is going to be it for us. Thank you so much for watching this video. Really appreciate it. Again, thank you to Primitive for hosting this event, as well as make sure to check out their Twitch and YouTube channels. I do think you get a lot from that. A lot of great gameplay on that. And just a big thanks again to Primitive for supplying these deck lists. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you all next time.